Hello, dear friends, and welcome to a softly spoken walkthrough of an exhibit called Treasured Landscapes, America's Treasured Places, and Hudson River School and Beyond. So these are American landscape paintings in the National Park Service collections of the United States of America, capturing the beauty of the nation's diverse regions. Something I found quite magical about the geography of the United States is how it's a world unto itself. How you can travel the length and breadth of the states and be in arid deserts to lush greenlands, forests, lakes, beaches, snowy tundras. It's wonderful. So, here we have a number of paintings. What's this over here? The Hudson River School. So, landscape paintings by artists associated with the Hudson River School are particularly significant because of the school's deep associations with the American conservation movement. Before the 1820s, American artists painted portraits and documentary works depicting important historical events, and few painters attempted landscape painting. The confluence of artistic, literary, and political attention to America's scenic beauty eventually laid the foundation for the creation of the first national parks and helped establish conservation as a national value. This is scenery in the Grand Tetons, and oh my, what a wonderful painting. The light. I would love to develop a proficiency in painting to be able to capture a sense of light and place like this. Albert Bierstadt, 1865 to 1870. So the mountain landscape acquired its title that specifically mentions the Tetons after Bierstadt's lifetime, could more properly be called a generalized western mountain panorama. The juxtaposition of water and sheer mountain heights and the theatrical deployment of storm clouds and slanting light are characteristic of Bierstadt's style. Lawrence Rockefeller acquired the painting in the 60s for the Marsh Billings Rockefeller Mansion, and it was a reminder of his family's long commitment to Grand Teton National Park and the preservation of the mountains, lakes and valleys in that spectacularly beautiful and dramatic part of the West. I would love that painting. I would love it. Here's a waterfall by John Frederick Kensett, who was one of the great 19th century American landscape painters and a member of the Hudson River School. Originally from Connecticut, he worked as an engraver before studying painting in Europe and became a leader in the American art scene upon his return. He was the president of the Artists' Fund Society, participated in several prominent committees, including one that advised the decorating of the US Capitol, and another that helped found the Metropolitan Museum of Art, a highly influential figure. He was a friend of Longfellow's and spent time with him at the poet's summer home in Nahant, just north of Boston, and waterfalls were a favourite subject of the artist. I love a waterfall. You can see here just a small waterfall with some houses, some structures overlooking it perhaps, or is that a rocky outcrop? Probably a rocky outcrop actually. Wonderful sense of colour and monochrome. I can really get a sense of that falling water. Wonderful. I was about to say that looks like Niagara Falls, and it is, by Thomas Cole. So it addresses the role of art in bringing popular attention to America's wilderness. Niagara was already a commercialized tourist destination when Cole idolized its unspoiled wilderness in this painting, 1829 to 1830. Frederick and Julia Billings purchased this painting and 2 small Arcadian studies by Cole on the recommendation of the artist Frederick Church, who was acting as broker for Cole's estate. And in 1879, Church wrote to Frederick Billings, "I have selected 3 or 4 of the most attractive of the little pictures by Thomas Cole, which the family will part with, to be sent to my studio in New York for your inspection." 2 months later, he wrote to acknowledge Julia Billings' letter relative to the 3 Coles, with details of their delivery and care. I mean, it's a lovely snapshot in time. Of course, Niagara Falls now. You have a Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum, Rainforest Cafe, all sorts of tourist trappings, but untapped wilderness is to be preserved. Look at this, a golden October. This is wonderful. Look at the colours. I love autumn. Or I suppose, as those of you in the States would refer to it, as fall. It's a view of a brook here under the autumn haze, showing the Hudson River School's affinity for woodland foliage and meadow scenes. So the artist Alfred T. Britcher was a Marine, born in and landscape painter, born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. He was a businessman and art amateur who turned to painting full-time in 1858, worked in Boston and Newburyport, settled in New York after the Civil War. There's that one there, and another one, Lake George at sunset. These are some lovely, lovely paintings. I really feel like I need to go on a geographic tour of the United States at some point in my life. I've been to the US a few times before, but usually in urban environments and not taking in the natural beauty. So we've got here Nauma, a German-born artist who emigrated in the US to experience the West in 1926. After 6 years at sea in the Merchant Marines, he returned to his beloved Santa Fe and began to work in pastels. Now, this actually looks very modern to me, and this might be a bit crass to say, but it looks like the kind of imagery you'd get on a craft beer bottle or a can. But wonderful colours, wonderful impression of Friel's Canyon, the second view. Pastels allowed him to capture the fleeting effects of the sky and water and our own New Mexico landscapes with fast-changing colours sweeping rapidly across, for there are hundreds of different colours and shades, so one loses no time in mixing colours, as in oil, which is a good point. And here are some more works. Jemez Pueblo, the Toa-speaking pueblo located in the foothills of the Jemez Mountains. Actually, I really like but I don't think I've seen a lot of pastel artwork before, but it's beautiful. It's a view of Talas House, located in the Friel's Canyon. Ancestral Pueblo people carved many small cave rooms into the soft, tough rock of the cliffs, then built masonry homes in front of the cave rooms. The homes crumbled long ago, but the one captured in this pastel was reconstructed. Lovely. And here it's the administration building of Friel's Canyon. I'd love to visit this part of the States, the American West. Picurus is a Tiwa-speaking pueblo in the foothills of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, south of Teos. Nauma captures its church, Campo Santo cemetery, and dome-shaped horno, an oven for baking traditional bread. I'm fascinated by the West. Its formation in harsh environments. Bierstadt is my guy, he is my man. Look at these paintings, look at the dramatic quality of them, almost heavenly cathedral rock at Yosemite. Wonderful. Written accounts, photographs and landscape paintings like Cathedral Rock inspired pioneering environmental legislation to protect the region from commercial exploitation. Abraham Lincoln officially granted the Yosemite Valley to the state of California in 1864, creating the first public land trust in American history and marking the beginning of the national park movement. Where shall we go? Let's go this way. To views of paradise. We rejoice that the artist has become so charmed with the contemplation of the scenery that he's endeavouring to transfer some of its beauties to the canvas, says Reverend Damon, the Seamen's Chaplain of Honolulu, Hawaii, 1867. So tropical landscapes are the rarest of American landscapes. Many plants and animal species found their way across the Pacific to produce a unique and complex Hawaiian ecosystem. Marshes, swamps, tropical forests, waterfalls, as well as coastal dunes and fiery volcanoes, they've long been alluring artists who sought to capture the spectacular and unfamiliar beauty of these special places. The endless beaches and shallow lagoons of glinting water, fertile lands bound by fronded palm trees, and unusual and vibrantly coloured flora were inspirational, no doubt. Wonderful colours here of Puerto Rican parrots by Weber. Love that. Roseate Spoonbills by Walter Alois Weber in the late 1930s. They're fascinating birds, aren't they? Neen or Nen. Ducks. Or geese, I'm not sure. Oh, look at that. Untitled. But it's the Halemaumau overflowing onto the floor of Kilauea Caldera with snow on Mauna Loa. It was painted by D. Howard Hitchcock, one of the most notable and loved artists from Hawaii. He left Hawaii for formal art training in San Francisco and abroad, but returned to follow the Volcano School group of artists who painted the eruptions and landscape of Kilauea. So dramatic, aren't they, volcanoes? Just the raw power of nature. Stunning. The River of Fire in Kilauea crater. I mean, you look to sci-fi for images like this sometimes, don't you? It almost looks like the concept art that you might see of a Star Wars film, but it's real. It's reality. There's that Moku Oeo. The contrast of snow and fire, ice and fire. What a dramatic juxtaposition. This is a mangrove or American crocodile by Walter Alois Weber, who had degrees in zoology, botany and art, worked as a scientific illustrator for the Chicago Field Museum, which is now the Chicago Museum of Natural History, the Century of Progress Exposition in Chicago, and the Texas Memorial Museum, where he painted diorama backgrounds for exhibits. He later worked for the Smithsonian Institution, National Park Service, and the National Geographic Society, and in 1967 was awarded the highest civilian honour the U.S. Department of the Interior can bestow, the Conservation Service Award. He was highly involved in nature and a keen eye to capture it. Thankful to him for doing so. Here's John Muir, who I believe, of course, is the individual that we read the diary of in the Great Diaries series. It seemed to me the Sierra should be called the Range of Light, the most divinely beautiful of all the mountain chains I have ever seen. Something almost photographic of that late afternoon in Zion Canyon. Howard Russell Butler, who's credited as being the founder of the American Fine Arts Society, born in New York City, an early advocate for city recreation and beautification, and convinced Andrew Carnegie to fund the construction of recreational man-made lake near Princeton University. was originally a patent lawyer and gave up the practice to pursue painting in 1884, created technical drawings for the Carnegie and Edison companies before concentrating on portraits and landscapes. Because he has a real eye for the fine detail here. Mountains of the sun. I mean, it is distinctly a painting, but there is such a... The use of light is just so impressive. It just really captures a sense of being there. The Green River cliffs here. Mariposa Grove, the base of a sequoia gigantea, by Christian Jorgensen, who was originally from Oslo in Norway. Jorgensen settled in California, trained at the San Francisco School of Design, visited Yosemite in 1899, and decided to make it his summer home. Who wouldn't, eh? His wife bequeathed many of his paintings to the Yosemite Museum in 1936. And here's Thomas Moran, a print, the Castle Giza, Upper Giza Basin of Yellowstone National Park. A print taken from Moran's work by L. Prang & Co. to celebrate the country's centennial. Here's Lucien Whiting Powell's The Evening in the Grand Canyon. Love to visit the Grand Canyon. Desert Sprint. John Hilton, who lived in the Mojave Desert. He ran a gem shop and exhibited his desert landscapes in New York and California, and regularly exhibited at the Death Valley 49ers show. He used the encaustic painting technique, the use of wax mediums along with oil, to successfully render the unique desert light. And successfully he has, again, almost that photographic quality of light, almost that translucent glow of sand on sun. Beautiful. And William Bradford's Sunset in the Yosemite Valley, a winter view with snow on the ground, by an artist best known for his marine and Arctic scenes. Bradford grew up in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and turned to art in middle life, studying under the Dutch marine artist Albert van Beest. Wonderful. You can't beat a sunset. Here are some clouds at sunset. William Robinson Lee, who in 1906 persuaded the Santa Fe Railroad to give him free transportation for his first trip west in exchange for a painting. But ultimately the railroad commissioned 5 more scenes of Arizona and New Mexico from the artist. Sounds like a good arrangement, doesn't it? So artists of the 19th century played a key role in helping to heal the nation following the Civil War. The pioneering photographer Carlton Watkins and his impressive portfolio of Western landscape prints. Many artists provided visual evidence of the majesty of the American West. Most Americans couldn't imagine the dramatic Western landscapes until artists like these came along. I mean, it is almost alien, isn't it? Wonderful. Here's Sanford Robinson Gifford's beach scene. The 1886 inventory of the Edison home lists this painting as being displayed in the drawing room, where it still hangs today. Gifford's a Hudson River School artist and member of the Luminist movement, who primarily produced beach and mountain scenes. He used a special technique to finish his work. By varnishing it several times in boiled oil, the artist sought to create a veil between the viewer and the work of art that represented the natural atmosphere. This might depict the shores at Long Branch, New Jersey, where Gifford is known to have painted. Interesting. That's something that I feel like I need to see in person. Here's Elizabeth Rockwell's Hudson River. She spent her formative years in New York and Vermont before moving to California, and was one of the more than 50 works commissioned to decorate the San Francisco Bay Ferry Bay City in 1878. They were published in a catalogue, allowing travellers to walk about the ferry, catalogue in hand, and enjoy the scenic landscapes in the floating art gallery. It's a nice idea. Here's High Bridge in New York. Almost looks like a European image. a small landscape among the furnishing of Lawrence Rockefeller's private office in the Belvedere on the mansion grounds. It depicts a scene that the family knew well. So the High Bridge is an aqueduct constructed over the Harlem River in the rural countryside north of New York City, completed in 1848, and a popular scenic vista for sightseers and artists, especially after a tall water tower was built on a nearby bluff in 1872. Urban development eventually overtook Harlem, and the land surrounding the bridge was conserved as a city park. It's a shame that something like that doesn't still exist today. Wonderful. There's the Grand Canyon of Arizona on the Santa Fe. Lovely sweeping mist here, the Grand Canyon seen at the eastern end of the canyon by Thomas Moran. The mist, the fog coming over the craggy outcrops. Wonderful. So I think that's the exhibition. So a big thank you to Google Arts and Culture and the US National Park Service for putting together these wonderful paintings. I hope you've enjoyed being transported to these wonderful locations as much as I have. I look forward to seeing you next time.